A celebration of literacy and rural education is taking place in Orono over the next couple of days. Island Readers and Writers, a nonprofit based out of Southwest Harbor, is hosting the first ever Dear Teacher Conference at the Collins Center for the Arts. More than 100 educators from across Maine, Vermont, and New Brunswick are in attendance. The conference is designed for teachers in rural schools. The goal is to help them inspire their students to want to read and learn. To add to that, they've brought in a number of children's authors and illustrators to lead a number of workshops.
We really felt that the people who tell stories for children who are so tapped into that kind of creative, imaginative space would be able to provide an experience for educators similar to the experiences we provide to children in schools and give teachers an opportunity to experience some wonder and curiosity and fun and really bring a lot of energy, but also they're masters of their craft. They tell wonderful stories, especially stories for Maine kids.
The conference concludes tomorrow afternoon, but not before another full morning of workshops and book signings. You can learn more about Island Readers and Writers and how to support them and their work in Maine by visiting islandreadersandwriters.org.